we really need to look at our people and our process first, then look at where technology can fill in the gaps where we may have some holes. Make sure that we are helping our managers manage the onboarding process with that intent to keep every person we hire. Just because you were a successful salesperson does not mean you're good at managing humans. Do you realize that the majority of desk guys don't even know what digital retailing does? They don't want to give you a pencil, right? Like, oh, just get them in. We'll give them numbers when they get here. And I'm thinking, they already got a number off your website.
It's sitting
right there. They test their whole deal already. 100%. Put the pride aside and say, I'm going to go find out how to learn this piece of my business so that I can teach my people to be better.
Yes.
So I can stop blaming marketing for the problem that is actually a process and people issue, and they just need help. I think my biggest piece of advice for managers is
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? Hey, thanks for joining me on another episode of Shift into Profit, where I get to talk to, well, anybody and everybody I want to talk to when it comes to what it's required to get our businesses into a more profitable place. And boy, do I have a guest with me, guys. Actually, I'm not going to say guest. I'm going to say I have a friend. I have a friend with me today, an amazing friend to top it off. And I'm super excited to get this. I have the one, the only, the oh so famous April Simmons. What is up, April?
Good morning. Good morning. Happy day 2 here at NADA live with my friend Jason.
We're
super
here.
Exciting.
We made it.
Yeah, and the energy as day 2, typically the energy level, it has been great. Yesterday, I felt more energy than I think I have at any day in a long, long time. So,
I'm with you.
Super exciting.
I think there might have been a little bent up or kind of energy because not everybody made it last year through that monster winter storm, So I think everybody was excited. Well, I didn't go last year, so I better make it out. Hey, Telly, better make it out this year and see everybody. But I'm with you. All right, here's what I want to do, because I'm excited to get into this, but I love starting off these conversations with little origin stories. So like the 5 people out there that's watching right there that don't know who you are, just kidding. If you don't know who April is, you will, and you need to know. All right, let's do that. Let's start off, little origin story. How in the world you got started in this crazy world we call the automotive industry?
Well, so everyone either was born into it or fell into it, right?
True.
There's nobody that was like intentionally went out and said, I'm going to be an automotive person. I'm one that fell into it. This is officially my 30th year. Yes, that's 30, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I actually grew up in a small town in Nebraska and worked on the banking side. Mm-hmm. And we used to, back in that day, I had to do dealer reserve by hand, and the dealers would bring the applicants to the bank on a daily basis, and we'd sit around and look at them. And I said, I didn't know these jobs even existed. And so that's when I kind of decided I wanted to go into the automotive space. Moved to Chicago for a year and then moved to Arizona in '99. So I have done every aspect in automotive in the last 30 years. I have been on the desk for 7 years, finance manager 8 years, internet director, marketing, GSM, GM. If anything that's been out there, I've kind of touched it on the variable side. And the thing I love about this industry, 30 years in, I still learn something new every single day.
Isn't it great?
I think that is the glory of this business is you don't get bored.
No,
right?
There's always some new
mastery.
challenge.
There's no mastery.
No, that's 100%.
It's always learning.
It's actually a really good point. When I think of kind of like our overall, not just the customer experience, but also the staff experience, there's not an end point. Like it is always like, as long as a dealer has their North Star and they know operationally what they're trying to achieve, there's always something new in as far as a growth element that they can adopt to. So here's what I like to do is the conversation I want to get into. Obviously, guys, for everybody out there watching, it's a new year. We're at an NDA. There's a lot of new conversations, some great educational workshops that are going on. I've been looking and reading through all the titles, and I try to pop into a handful of them. And I'm excited to see the body language and stuff there. But I really think it kind of boils down to like 3 little buckets, right? People, process, and technology. It seems like everybody is looking for some combination to enhance all 3 of these, or maybe a couple of these. But I'm curious for you, which of those three is kind of a hot topic for your group, and what are you working on?
I think it's really interesting, and I'm seeing a lot of dealers make epic mistakes, and especially coming to like an NADA, people are searching for technology where they can just write a check and say, okay, make all my stuff better.
Easy buttons.
Right? And that's just not the case. My friend Dale, my SEO guy, he always says, April, process should drive technology. Technology should not drive process.
That's a good point.
And that is something where I think dealerships make a lot of mistakes in. Mm-hmm. We really need to look at our people and our process first, then look at where technology can fill in the gaps where we may have some holes. Because it will always take the people and the process to actually make any technology work for you.
Yep.
So last year I did something a little bit different than I have in the past versus just saying, hey, I've got 99 problems. Let's talk to everybody to try to solve them.
Yeah.
I said, hey, let's pick 3. What are the top 3? And if your product didn't actually align with solving one of those 3, then I would politely say, this isn't the time for us.
Yeah.
Because there's so much. You can get very overwhelmed. I mean, how many booths are here at NADA? I don't even know. Thousands?
Yeah, easily.
Right? Like you can't see them all. You can't talk to them all. So the most important thing for me is figure out what those 3 are. So for me in 2026, 2 of the biggest initiatives we have in our group is actually onboarding and training.
That's awesome.
So those 2 aspects, I'm not even talking about getting back to basics because quite frankly, most people in automotive right now weren't around when we did the basics.
That's actually, you know what? That's a really fair point, and I haven't thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it more as a full reset, right? So rather than saying, let's get back to something that people never even knew in the first place.
Let's just rebuild what it looks like today.
Let's just start over, hit a full reset, look at everything from start to finish on how do we bring people into the business, the people that are already here, how do we reset them and get them trained in a way that will help grow the business so that we can retain our employees, because employee retention is the key ingredient 100%. To customer retention.
Yep.
So that is our really key focus for us this year. And those are the products that I've been looking at over the last couple of days. What things can help us fill in those gaps, take some of the heavy lift of, data compilation, things of that nature,
sure.
To help us really get visual on what we can do to fix our onboarding problems and our training problems.
Well, and I mean, that fills so many operational needs inside the dealership, right? I mean, you're touching on the people, you're touching on the process, and you're doing it intentionally. Intentionally, just real quick, I want to pause. So everyone out there watching, listening, you heard the word I said, intentionally. Yes. It's not that I don't feel like you don't have an onboarding program, and I think most dealers would probably say they have something, but I would honestly probably doubt that it's not overly intentional.
Correct. It's kind of that chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Are you going to take the time up front to actually make it intentional so that the results are much, much better? Or are we going to do what we just always have done and say, yeah, go throw them out there, see if they stick. If they're here in 90 days, then maybe I'll invest in them and we'll talk about it then. Yeah. And, unfortunately, that's just something with dealers we have an issue with in all areas is not being as intentional. I do love that word.
Yeah.
In the things that we're doing that are really, really important to us.
Yeah, we just kind of we do it. I mean, I will say, there's some great operators. I mean, obviously they watch the show, so I know that there's some great operators. You're watching the show right now, and you probably have a pretty decent process there. But it does set the foundation, and I think sometimes that we forget that we get too far into our business and our processes to remember that, hey, we never actually set them up from the moment they arrive to be successful.
Correct.
We just expected them to follow this process, and that would generate the success.
Correct. And even that's not done on day one.
That's true.
Walk into how many dealerships, they don't even know where to park. They don't know how, like the simple of simple things
sure.
that people just need to know to feel warm and fuzzy. I mean, think about it. If you invited somebody new to your home, you would not just say, hey, welcome on in, and then go in your bedroom and watch TV and just leave them to figure out what to do in your house, right?
That'd be awkward.
They'd be awkward, right? But that's what we do to new employees all the time.
Yeah.
And, in the defense of management staff, I think because of high turnover, the managers get worn out. They get
jaded a little bit,
and jaded,
right? They're a little jaded by it.
So they're like, okay, look, if you make it through, then I'll invest my time in you, because I've invested my time in thousands of employees who didn't stick around. So I don't want to waste my time until I know that you care that much. The problem is on the flip side, the employee, they won't care till they know you care.
Exactly.
So it becomes, again, this chicken or the egg situation where we really have to be intentional, upfront, and make sure that we are helping our managers manage the onboarding process with that intent to keep every person we hire. Now, you're never going to keep every person you hire, right? It's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen.
Even in low turnover industries, right? You're not keeping everyone.
But at least you're finding that early on, and you're not having to deal with it because you're intentional about the efforts. Now, as I was kind of thinking about this when we were talking a little bit, I was thinking about kind of like, what was onboarding like for me? Well, it was pretty horrible. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty much like, here's the brochures, there's the keys, go get me a cup of coffee, and don't bug me during my smoke break.
Right.
I mean, that was probably the extent.
Pretty much the same exact.
You got the same training. You got the same training program I did.
The hours on the door is your schedule, and leave me alone and go figure out how to sell cars.
But when I was thinking, I'm also thinking about like when I got into a leadership position. Again, there was no onboarding, even my leadership position. It was like all of a sudden I have a title, go figure out how to be a leader, which then I just ended up mimicking whatever I got, which was pretty much just, shut the hell up and get back to work and suck it up, buttercup. So like as I'm thinking about this, and I think for anybody out there watching and listening right now, you're exploring what April and her group is doing, which 100% you have to. I think for me, I would say one of the first steps is maybe step back and really define what your guys' North Star is from an experience perspective, not just for your customers, but also for your staff.
Correct.
And then I think maybe work back, because I know you guys have this clearly defined. Not everybody out there watching maybe does.
True.
So that's why I think it's easy for you to be able to go and approach this.
Well, and I think you're right. I think, like any company, you have to figure out what is my mission of my company, what is the values of my company. That needs to then become, your manual and your North Star and your guidance to, that's the place to start.
Because it's your stress test. It's your stress test, right?
A really, really good point about management evolvement, because we kind of just expect if you get a manager, like what to do, but just because you were a successful salesperson does not mean you're good at managing humans.
You almost have another level of onboarding.
You really do. And I think we have to look at that from a training perspective of you're going to be re-onboarded into your new role, even if you're moving from sales to service, salesman to manager, desk guy to GM, right?
Sure.
Like, no matter what that upward, there should be a new onboarding that is elevating you to that next level so that you're getting the proper tools in your tool belt to actually execute the job. And that is something that I just think we don't do a very good job.
In this industry,
and then we waste so much money. I mean, think about the amount of money we waste in marketing. Like you and I talk so much about marketing, right? Because that's kind of the core part of our jobs is the marketing aspect. How much money do we waste in marketing getting new employees or getting new customers that we already have, but now we have to spend 3 times the money to try to get them back because we didn't actually have a good process of just maintaining a relationship?
100%. It's back to what you were saying. This is like a whole chicken and egg situation, right? Like, I mean, think about it, because both of us have worked, we both work very, very heavily on the marketing and the, let's call it the opportunity generation engine of the dealership. And I hate to say it, yes, we have to, as a marketing department, overcompensate, all right, for the lack of, maybe I don't want to use the word talent, training, all right, at there, because, look, we're one of the only industries that a 5% or a 10% hit rate on inbound internet leads, that's kind of ridiculous. There's over 80-90% dying, right? Well, I think we could actually do less. We could actually probably generate less leads.
I agree.
With a higher level rate of process around it.
Right. But look at what we're saying. We are putting all of our eggs into this AI basket.
To this engine.
Right. And saying, hey, my people can't seem to get a better than 10% close rate, so let's let AI do it. And I'm like, well, but AI can't sell. No. So maybe they can hold the line, but they're certainly not going to do a better job. Oh, and by the way, again, you still need a person involved to actually, pull the levers and move the things and actually jump into the conversation. So I just really believe that if we want to get more with less, We need to really get back to not basics, but resetting our people and our process, and then looking at the technology that will actually help elevate those things by giving them tools they can use, and not overlapping tools. I mean, between the OEMs and the different tech stacks, and you can solve this problem, great, sign a check, sign a check, sign a check. And now you just got a big muddy mess of, sending out customers, hey, thanks for coming in for your oil change yesterday. Oh, hey, it looks like we missed your appointment yesterday for your oil change. Oh, hey, it looks like you need to set an appointment for your oil change, right? Like, and you're like, wildly disconnected messaging to customers, which creates frustration on the customer's part, and nobody's like even looking at these things, because we look at everything in automotive as a silo. It's like, here's this product siloed here, here's this product siloed there, and we need to look at it full picture all the way around your dealership, from the internet team to the desk. How many desk managers can read a lead? Think about this.
Not a lot.
How many of them can read a lead?
Well,
how many times do we still hear that?
They're so siloed.
Just get them in.
Just get them in through the door, right? And honestly, I mean, I've worked with thousands of dealerships. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now. I will tell you straight up, and this might shock some of you guys out there watching and listening. Right? You actually probably don't have a lead problem. Really, like I will say, well over 90% of the dealerships I've worked with don't have a lead problem. What you have is a conversation problem.
Yes.
All right. What you're doing is the answer is not just more leads. It is just getting into more conversations. That has never been your North Star. So you never built processes or trained people around that methodology. Here,
50%. 50% plus of every single dealership's business starts in the internet department in a lead or a phone call.
Yes.
Right? Yet most general managers, GSMs, and desk guys have never even taken one day to try to educate themselves on what that looks like.
No.
Do you realize that the majority of desk guys don't even know what digital retailing does? They don't want to give you a pencil, right? Like, just get them in. We'll give them numbers when they get here. And I'm thinking, they already got a number off your website.
It's sitting there.
It's sitting right there. They desk their whole deal already. Like, why?
It's funny you say that.
Right? But it happens every single day. Yeah. So, if you really want to be intentional about getting better, I think my biggest piece of advice for managers is learn, go and learn this piece. Don't let your pride take away your paycheck,
100%.
which is what happens a lot. 100%. Put the pride aside and say, I'm going to go find out how to learn this piece of my business so that I can teach my people to be better.
Yes.
So I can stop blaming marketing for the problem that is actually a process and people issue, and they just need help.
Well, and I will say, majority of the times it is a process and people issue, and sometimes the technology is not in line with the process and people, so it can be a tech. But I will say, 7 out of 10 times, it is usually the people and process that are not necessarily in alignment. Look, here, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time, and I feel like, April, we love doing this. It goes so fast.
I mean, I could literally sit here and we could just spend the rest of the day till lunchtime and just chat about all these things, because I think you are one of the few people that I feel is almost as passionate about all of this crazy stuff in this
100%.
business, where it's so exciting to talk about, especially with all the conversations here at NADA.
Oh, yes.
With your group here, representing Siro here, which is a new and exciting company as well. It's just very cool to see people caring about people now.
Have you noticed that move recently?
It is. It is.
Me and you've been in the business for a long time. It hasn't always been that way.
No.
I don't know if I want to say it's 5 years or maybe it's 8 years, but there seems to be, I don't know exactly what the point was, but it's definitely within the last decade. There's been this transition, more collaboration, less walls, garden walls,
exactly.
Trying to break,
working around these things. The only thing I will say, and I will, kind of as we get to the end, just really want to make this point as we're sitting here at NADA, be very cautious of signing up for what I call fluffy duffy crap. Okay.
That's true. Good point.
Because it's so easy if you don't know how everything works to just sign a check and say, oh my gosh, 98% increase in leads, sign me up, and not know what that increase actually is or what that math, that math ain't mathin' kind of thing. You need to make sure you get all the people involved at the store
Gotta go
level
to the core.
before you make a decision to 100%. Actually understand whether it's going to help you or not.
Absolutely.
And be very careful with the AI stuff. So we didn't really touch too much on AI in this conversation.
This is a whole podcast
because there's
itself.
whole
But I'm okay with that
conversation.
because I think what we have talked about is actually, if
more
you don't
important
have
part.
that foundation,
AI ain't gonna help you.
AI ain't going to help you.
No.
So you need to focus and build that
Correct.
part of it out
Correct.
before you go and explore some of these other
Correct.
ones. And no surprise to me that you have that approach. You have such an amazing operational mind.
Oh,
so
thank you.
Hey, I know we're at the tail of our time, and we have not covered everything. I know there's still a lot we would love to discuss. But for everybody out there watching and listening now who would love to connect with you and maybe continue some parts of this conversation, which I know is there's some continuance, what's the best way to connect with you?
LinkedIn is always the easiest because you can just find me, April Simmons, there on LinkedIn. And from there, if you want to dig into a deeper conversation, I'll usually give out my email there at it's April@horn cars.com. We've got 14 dealerships throughout Arizona with Horn Auto Group, and so I probably have seen it, heard it, or done it
Probably,
throughout
yes.
the time. So always happy to help. I think that's one of the things I love is just the
That's
collaboration.
what I love about you is your willingness, always wanting to.
I will share, but I will learn, and this is how we get stuff done in 2026.
100%, you're absolutely
is
right.
learn and share.
Well, guys, hey, look, that's the end of the show, but I appreciate you guys for watching. Definitely make sure you connect with April. Hey, look, one of the biggest compliments you can give us as content creators is to share the show. All right. If you have a leader in your business or a manager, a colleague that needs to see some portion of this amazing conversation we've had today, share the show. It means so much to us. April, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I have so much fun.
Always so much fun.
Always so
You're
much
one of
fun.
my best friends. I love it.
Love it. Hey, thank you guys for watching. You guys have yourself an amazing day.
Rock on.